Jeff is back, Cristal hits the ground running, and Fallon's hair always looks that good. Everybody wants to rule the world, especially in the Carrington household. The roof is on fire. We don't need no water. Let that mother burn. We are talking CW's Dynasty Season 3, Episode 4, Something Desperate. The AfterBuzz After Show starts right now.
I'm Maria Menounos, and you're tuned in to AfterBuzz TV, the ESPN of TV talk. Now, AfterBuzz.
The roof is on fire. We don't need no water. Let the mother burn. That's what I thought was going to happen. I thought the entire house was going to go up in flames.
I know, because we saw what happened the other season, and the whole house is in flames. Well, basically, most of it.
Exactly. It wouldn't be the first time, and so I didn't think it was going to be the last time, especially the way it was set up. A gas leak of that magnitude for that amount of time, I felt like there was going to be a much larger explosion, but of course, there wasn't. It did have some consequences, but were the consequences as dire as we think? I don't know. We're going to find out as we talk all things CW's Dynasty Season 3, Episode 4, Something Desperate. If you haven't been watching this after show, I don't know what you've been watching. All the way to my left, we have the return of the Queen of Dynasty herself, a Carrington in the flesh. Maddie Pocks is with us.
Yes, I'm happy to be back. This was a very interesting episode. Do we think this whole show is turning into a musical? We'll find out.
I hope not, but I do hope that we talk a lot more. And of course, I am Tehran. Literally, I am Tehran. And I host and panel on this and a slew of other AfterBuzz after shows. So make sure to check me out at all times. We're going to be breaking down this episode as thus. Adam versus Cristal, that power struggle is a thing. Dominique comes clean, but gets her hand dirty, or at least she says she did. Fallon's Hail Mary, oh, she tossed it. Good, touchdown! Kind of. Wine tasting, that tasting wine tasting party. Hotel guest, that special hotel guest we have now. Liam remembers, but kind of forgets. Kirby, goal! Things blow up in Adam's face, and I mean that theoretically, hypothetically, and literally. That, the musical, we do have a special segment, Wow, the outfit that wowed us the most during this episode. And of course, we have some news and gossip, which we always give you, those breaking news stories and our predictions, which are always on point, and much, much more. So you're going to want to stay tuned. What were your overall thoughts, Maddie, of this episode, CW's Dynasty Season 3, Episode 4, Something Desperate?
I had anxiety since I saw, since the beginning, and the dog, switched the gas thing off, the switch or whatever. So I had anxiety from the get-go, being like, okay, is the house going to burn down? Something's going to happen. I thought the house would be up in flames from, Dominic trying to sabotage the wine tasting party, and then the gas leaking, Fallon going, hallucinating. So then I liked the episode, but I kind of got confused with all the singing. So I said to myself, is this going to be sort of like a musical from now on? But in the end, it all made sense. And I'm actually happy to see Adam, I don't want to see him hurt, but just kind of get what was coming from him, because he's always trying to ruin everyone else, right? So maybe now he'll kind of calm down, because he really gets on my nerves, with trying to sabotage Fallon and be in charge of everything. And then obviously this episode with Cristal. So that was a little bit of relief. I know it sounds bad to say out loud, but good episode, I think. It was very on edge. I really want to see Liam and Fallon reunite, but there's still hope. Maybe down the line.
We will see. I thought it was a great episode, very fun. I'm not usually a fan of musicals, but they were apt and appropriate in this specific setting. Also, we're not getting this towards the end of the season. We're getting this in what is the first half of a story arc that's building up, and they've built it right. So I don't feel like this was an attempt to stretch the episode, more so to add a little bit of humor and fun and show off some licensing, because they did have some good properties. I enjoy the Dominique storyline as it's unfolding. I cannot wait to understand more about what's going on with Dominique, who she really is, and what her intentions really are. I enjoy the battle between Cristal and Adam. These two new Carringtons are now in a power play and a struggle for one another. Let's see how that breaks down. If Adam who now got his just deserves, is actually going to be humbled by this experience or come out even more ruthless than before, as he might feel he has nothing to lose. And Cristal, of course, is showing her cards, but maybe a little too soon.
Yeah.
She's playing this field where she understands that Adam is a worthy foe, as she has seen and points out with Fallon. But the truth of the matter is, does she or can she survive enemies at this point? Because Adam points it out, I'm blood. You're not.
Yeah.
My father goes through wives the way we go through businesses, basically. So that plays out. Of course, it's great to see Fallon play her role in trying to actually get Liam back. She really is in love with this guy. She really wants him back. But a part of me thinks she just can't help lose. And she doesn't like losing. She doesn't like losing. So I'm interested in seeing if that's going to be a trope that plays out through more of the season and more in the storyline, where it's simply, I don't want to lose Liam because I hate losing as well.
Yeah, I think that he'll be back.
I hope so. We'll see.
Yeah.
Liam was a very integral part of season 2, so it'd be nice, and of course season 1, but mostly season 2. So it'd be nice to see him come back. We do have some unfinished business there, and they have not been utilizing Fallon in any other way except for the Liam storyline. So what will they do when Liam is no longer involved? What will Fallon's role be then? And watching the hotel and Anders and Kirby, I feel like there's something going on there with Anders and Kirby. He keeps riding her and just going off on her. He's almost tired of her shit, and it's just it's almost abrasive and aggressive to watch this play out. And Culhane finding his path, but let's see if he finds his way. There's just so much going on. Let's break it down first with the Adam versus Cristal. We see that over the wine tasting and the position in the winery, they are having a power struggle, and Adam, of course, does the most Adam thing, making sure that the invitations don't go out as planned. What were your thoughts on that?
I can't even imagine being on this, like, under the same roof as him. I would lose my mind. And it's so frustrating to see, because Blake, he should know that it's Adam. Like, who would change the labels to her face? And it's obviously Adam, you know, being conniving, and he's always that way. So it's a little frustrating to see him not kind of realize it, because he's done it to Fallon for so long. Good for Cristal. I really like her kind of taking the reins and being on top of the wine tasting and stuff like that, and like that business, because Adam can't be trusted. And hopefully everything goes well in the next, couple episodes with her being in charge, because now Adam obviously has his eye injury and all that. So I'm totally on Cristal's side. Are you on Adam's or Cristal's? I don't know.
Personally, I am torn. Here's my thing. I enjoy the character of Adam. However, I obviously know he has hidden agendas and his own intent. But when it comes to Cristal, I don't know. I can't help but not trust her. Sure, she might have loyalty to Blake, but I don't know if she has true loyalty to the Carrington name. And as far as Adam goes, he's literally just taking his rightful heir as the son of Blake, which he did not know his entire life. Steven got to live his life and then shun it, and Adam never got that chance. And so, sure, we get this villain who's created, but he's not the villain that we want. He's the villain that we deserve as a Carrington. So I understand his role. When it comes to Cristal, I don't know if she's doing it because she actually is worried about Blake, or is she just worried about herself?
I think that she just, down to the core, doesn't like Adam, because if I was her, I can't imagine meeting someone like that, and you can tell they're conniving. And obviously she loves Blake. And in the beginning, I didn't like her because I said, why is she like after this guy? Maybe she wants some money, blah, 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 blah. But Adam is just like next level. I know you like him as a character.
I think he's a great character. And I also think that Cristal doesn't dislike Adam as much as you're saying. Fallon and Adam have a true dislike for
Yeah.
one another. At least Fallon dislikes Adam.
Well, maybe now she dislikes him more because what he just did, right?
I think she simply respects him as an adversary and understands why he's acting the way he does, just doesn't agree with it. Because she doesn't take the strong approach. She takes the passive approach of, let's just remove him from the equation instead of let's remove him from the family.
Right. Yeah, I think, I don't know. He is probably my least favorite on the show. I think because he always has a hidden agenda, and every time, it seems in the last episodes, every time something goes wrong, he's behind it.
Sure.
Aside from, Fallon with the garden and stuff, doing service hours and whatever, but he's just always lurking in the back. And,
he's a lurker. He's definitely a lurker. He's definitely a villain. There's no other ways about it. However, his interest is Blake. And his securing his position with Blake, he feels that he's making up for this life in the sun that he never got to be.
Right.
And he wants everything they want, but he doesn't want it for himself. He wants it because he thinks he deserves it. Cristal, on the other hand, might just want it for herself, and I guess we're going to have to wait to find out.
Yeah.
But those two clashing at this point, I thought was going to be drawn out a lot longer, but we see with Adam, let's see how he comes back, if he comes back as the same person as he was.
Yeah, I can't wait to see the next episode, honestly.
Dominique, on the other hand, is Adam without the tale, without the storyline. In a way, clearly Blake's half-sister, clearly also shunned from the family. So they have a lot of similarities. However, I think Dominique is the one who's way more conniving because she wants it all for herself. She doesn't want to share at all.
Yes.
To the point where she's willing to take it from her own son, Jeff.
Yeah, that's the sketchy thing about her. And okay, Adam is who he is, and he doesn't own up to it, obviously, because people don't know really how he is. But Dominique is like honest to her family, like her two children, about how conniving she is, and she plans stuff with them. But then she goes behind their backs too, and we see obviously at the end with Vanessa, she's calling her, and let's see what happens next. But I don't trust her at all. She always has some sort of thing up her sleeve. Do you think she's a good person?
I don't think Dominique's a good person at all. In fact, she's the most conniving person on the show. And that says a lot. And the fact that we're talking about the Carringtons, and we're talking about Fallon, and we're talking about Adam, and we're talking about Blake. And she's the most conniving of them all. Yeah. She is by far past the Carrington conniving, because at least when it comes to Blake, he might be conniving, but it's to set the tone and legacy for his entire family. He thinks he has the best vision. When it comes to Dominique, it's literally for herself. She is willing to partner up with someone outside of the family to take down everyone just so she can get hers.
Right. Doesn't it remind you a tiny bit of Alexis from the previous seasons?
Of course. It's but even to the next degree.
Yes. Because at least Blake's always thinking about his family. Alexis thought about her family to the most part. And Dominique, I am excited to see what she has planned, because obviously she's sneaking away from her kids again. She's coming every time she comes in with an apology. I'm like, she's not genuine. So I'm looking forward to seeing.
Well, not both of the Colbys agree. Jeff seems to be a lot more forgiving than his sister.
Yeah. Well, I guess that's men versus woman kind of thing. Maybe, woman's intuition, and the daughter is like, no, I don't believe it, kind of thing.
Well, she's always been against her mother. I think it affected her the most.
Yeah.
Not having her mother around. Jeff is longing for that mother figure, and she is not. She's actually against having her mother around. She might feel some sense of jealousy. There's another family member of a female origin in Jeff's life.
Yeah.
Because she's been trying to get rid of her since day one.
Yeah, I don't think I would be so welcoming back as Jeff, so I side with her on that. She it just keeps going and going and going with Dominique, it seems. So I wouldn't want to take her back welcoming like she does it every, I don't know, it seems like every other episode she's coming back for an apology and saying, I just want what's best for my kids, but she obviously is just thinking about herself. So
Yeah, she does think about herself a lot. Someone who thinks about herself a lot is, of course, Fallon. Fallon sees only things from her perspective, even in the meddling of Liam's relationship, as Liam seems to be getting closer and closer to marrying or remarrying or rehashing his relationship with Ashley. What do you think of Fallon's plot to get Liam back?
aggressive, but
Only in the Fallon way.
aggressive, but I kind of I resonate with that, and I think that I wouldn't do the same thing because she went over the top, obviously breaking the restraining order and doing all this stuff. But I would be so frustrated if I were her. Can you imagine just like being so in love with someone and then they're like gonna marry someone else that was their ex or something? I would not probably break into their house, but I would try and give him that manuscript and everything. And I think she kind of did the right thing, but it was everything that happened in the end with him saying he wants to be alone. I think that was the best for everyone.
Liam saying he wants to be alone.
Yeah, he wants to be single and, you know.
He just wants time to figure it out, which I can understand. He's going through a horrible ordeal. He's gone through trauma. He's gone through amnesia. He needs time. And that's one thing Fallon, of course, being the selfish Fallon that she is not willing to give him. She wants things to go right away because she is a brat. Fallon is a brat. And we see that as she approaches, and even though we like Fallon so much, to see her throw this Hail Mary and try to revisit and remind him through the use of his own personal manuscript of the book that he read. And you know, it's interesting because the same thing came to bite her in the ass at the end, because he says, well, I read it and it didn't make me feel anything for you. In fact, if this is the character that you are, you're selfish and you're callous and you're dangerous and you're horrible. And it didn't make me love you at all. In fact, I need I need even more distance from you. I'm not ready to marry. It worked in the fact that Liam is no longer ready to marry Ashley so quickly. But at the same time, it distanced him from Fallon because Fallon is all those things. And she has been for sure. And so Liam is well within his right. And Fallon shows that because even though Sam, who even she notes has been this matured. I've spoken about his maturity throughout the season. Going into this season, he's just he's a hotelier, as he says.
Yeah.
Well, he's different. As soon as he thought he was out, she brings him back in. Now he's back on the plan, the Fallon plan, going in, breaking into their household, going through with her crazy scheme just to get the manuscript back, and with no regards to the fact that he's busy and he has a hotel to run and he has things to do. Fallon really tends to only think of herself.
Yeah, she is really selfish. And you know what? Maybe the next episode or throughout the next couple weeks, we'll see her take that. Like, she's going to be maybe a little bit heartbroken and reflect on that and be like, I don't need to be as selfish. I feel like she might try and still be in Liam's life.
It's possible. Of course she will.
For sure.
She's not the one to give up. She's not one to just let things go. We've seen that, especially in the way she got Liam to begin with. I was surprised that Fallon didn't contact Monica, Jeff's sister, who is technically her best friend and her co-defendant in many situations, to help her. And instead went with Sam, who is also her close friend, but just because Sam has been distant and we saw Monica and Fallon interact last episode.
Yeah.
So I thought that they would revisit that and this would be the way it played, but it didn't play that way. But that's why we have the show, and that's why we enjoy talking about all things Dynasty, and we appreciate each and every one of you and your comments below. Your theories are amazing. Amazing. We enjoy everything you have to say. We appreciate it so much. Thank you for continuing to make us the ESPN of TV talk. We do love your comments. Subscribe, like, share, spread the word, share the news. We are the best Dynasty after show on the planet. That's not my opinion. That's all of yours, because many of you have left comments on our iTunes. So if you're listening to us on iTunes right now, give us that 5 stars we so greatly deserve, and we will definitely be giving all of you shout outs and talking to the chat. Thank you so much.
Thank you guys so much.
Let's get into some good stuff with that wine tasting party.
Yes. Okay. So Dominique, obviously it was poison, I assume, or something.
It was something. She injected it. We didn't get to see the after effects. So
I know.
I don't know if it's going to play later or what the point of that was. She injects something in the wine and we never get to see what it is. And why she even had that on her to begin with.
How do you even get a wine? Like, it had like the little...
It had a needle. It was just
like
a
needle thing.
Sure.
I was expecting a lot more from the outcome. Obviously, the gas leak from the beginning. Maybe she would set something on fire. The whole house would go on fire again because there's gas everywhere. And then her poisoning. We didn't see any poisoning. But the party's over, so maybe it'll come up in the next episode somehow. Like someone has a glass of wine, they get poisoned. You know, I can't tell because she got out of there when that accident happened with Adam, and then we don't hear anything else about it.
Yeah, she definitely got out. That wine tasting party was a setup from the beginning. So it sets up the Adam and Cristal power struggle. It sets up Blake and Cristal having issues because Blake doesn't feel as involved. Adam set Cristal up. We're not sure if Adam was the one who put Cristal's face on the wine bottles, but we're going to assume.
He definitely did.
There could be more there. We also see that the guest list, Blake is a dinosaur, a relic of the past, and here Cristal's trying to move the family and this particular business into the future with facts. I mean, her ideas were actually, I thought, very good to bring in influencers, to get a lot of young people.
Yeah, like celebrities, Beyonce, they talked about.
Exactly, and they're saying specifically, your wine business is going down, and it's the last thing we got. Blake keeps saying it's the last thing we have, which is letting me know that money troubles are on the horizon. So we should figure out where that's going to go. Here, up till now, we've had an unlimited pool of resource and income, but it's coming to a close. It's coming to an end. That could be something where they're foreshadowing for later.
Yeah.
However, as far as the wine tasting party, we saw everyone. I did expect something to happen with the poison that Dominique injected. We didn't see that play out at all.
Not yet,
And
I
then
guess.
the explosion, which was just a small minor explosion upstairs, all caused by this wine tasting in a way because Adam, anything he touches turns to mush. He goes and tries to hide the basket and then inadvertently turns the gas on and the gas is leaking and leads up to the events where the explosion blows his eyes out.
Well, do we know if he's going to be blind or not?
We don't know. He doesn't know. He says, as a doctor, he's like, it doesn't look good. And Blake says, you're a Carrington. If anyone has chances, it's you.
Yeah.
Exactly.
My question is to you, because you're kind of an Adam fan. Are you like his character? Do you hope that he kind of loses sight? I know that's really bad to say.
I'm hoping that it humbles him or makes him more dangerous. I hope there's a change. I hope that they don't just play the eye thing as if it's nothing. He's going to get better and then we forget about it. I need there to be some type of character adjustment based on this new affliction that he is facing, and that's what's important to me. I like Adam. I like him being ruthless. This season, we've actually seen a more mild, tame Adam. This is an Adam who's not as ruthless. He isn't. He's not as ruthless. He doesn't have a agenda so much. He's almost sniveling and groveling. He's not as much. He's much more of a sidekick than he was last season.
Right. Yeah.
Last season, he was the villain. Now he's a sidekick. He's just hobbling around, just trying to. He's mischievous. He's a poltergeist.
Yeah,
he's still doing.
He's still. If he doesn't have his way, he's a brat, and he's just gonna do stuff to ruin everything. So he is mischievous, and he's not as bad as the last episode.
He used to be Blake.
He
now
still
he's Fallon.
bugs me because it's like I like Fallon, as you know, and they always just rival. And then I want to see her do well with Liam, and obviously that didn't work out. But he's sneaky. He gets in there.
He's very sneaky. Of course, we'll see how that goes. We'll see how it plays out with his eyes. I want to know at home in the comments below before the next episode, does Liam have his eyesight or no? We need to talk about that. And they brought up some interesting things when it came to this wine tasting and Liam. They brought up the fact that we have a different face for Alexis. They brought up the fact that Liam has been trouble and all these things about, not Liam, about Adam. So make sure to tell us what you think about Adam as a character in the comments below. Can't wait to hear from you. We have a new hotel guest in the hotel. The soccer player from Cuba who is running away from this mafioso family that brought him into the country.
Cody is his name, right?
Yes.
Yes. And I think as soon as he was introduced through Culhane to Kirby, he's like checking her out, like elevator eyes, like up and down. There's something there, and she saw it.
She goes. Of course, she noticed
it. And she saw it.
Best way to get under Culhane's skin is to go to his room.
Is it because she wants to get under Culhane's skin
100%.
And her dad Anders?
I think it's all of the above. I think that she realizes that she can kill all these birds with one stone, one delicious Cuban stone, as it may be.
I feel like it's going to be bad news because there's obviously something he's hiding, and he's cooped up in this hotel, and then it's going to be her versus, Sam and Anders, and it's going to be this whole debacle. But I'm interested to see what will happen. I think, maybe she needs a rebound because she was pretty upset about Culhane. So
I think that she's playing this. She's creating tension. She's causing a problem. Kirby and Anders had a conversation about this where Kirby is so upset and says to Anders, why are you doing business with Culhane? And Anders is like, you guys dated for all of 5 minutes. Why are you this upset?
How long did they actually date for?
Possibly a month, because before it was in between Fallon with the publishing, then Culhane, and then Culhane went to jail.
Yeah. I guess they've been seeing each other, though, for way longer.
I don't feel like it was. I don't feel like it was longer than possibly 3 months maximum.
Yeah, 3 months of hooking up or whatever.
Exactly. She's put a lot of pressure on this relationship. That was a relationship to a blossoming one. It wasn't one that was full. This isn't a 3-year, 10-year relationship they have. This is simply, it was definitely a May, June, July.
May, June, July.
Yeah, it was one of those.
Spring fling.
Not even a spring fling. Spring fling comes with some romance. There wasn't a lot of romance. There was just a lot of lust.
Yeah, lust. Hooking up.
And Kirby's hot. Culhane's hot. Go for it. I understand. But there wasn't much more, to the point where her own father sides with Culhane.
He does, but he doesn't. I guess it's Anders' way of saying, like, you're not that close to me and you don't tell me stuff. Because he was like, why is this such a big deal? Because I feel like they're not close. Like, she could have said to him throughout the relationship, I really like this guy. We are dating now, blah, blah, blah. But she never really, like, said that to Anders, I feel.
I think it has a lot more to do with Anders just being like, you need to grow up.
Yeah.
Because he says it point blank, you need to grow up. You're being immature.
Yeah. I mean, she could say to him back, hey, well, if you had a girlfriend, blah, 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 but we never see Anders having any love interest. That's because Anders is the most mature person on the show. He's the one who, despite having what we would see as a low-level servant position, he was the one, the puppeteer, always pulling the strings, always having everyone's back, and obviously has enough money and power and pull to be, now he's a managing partner of this hotel. So I think Anders is just fine. I think that we're going to see a lot more of Anders and Kirby and their conflict, because there's a lot going on with that. Mm-hmm. Well, I like both characters, so I hope to see more of them. But I hope that I don't see Kirby getting back with Culhane at all. But I see her maybe creating a relationship with Victor.
I think that she's creating tension and thinking that his anger towards her is about jealousy, and it has a lot to do with the fact that she's actually just another cog in this wheel that he's trying to turn, and that's going to cause the problem. It's not Culhane being jealous as much as looking down, and I see this in actual situations where one person thinks they're making the other jealous when you're just falling out of that person's respect. They're like, really?
Yeah, exactly.
What are you doing?
It's like, why can't she just go out? Why can't you just go out of the hotel, find someone else?
Well, no, she's doing it on purpose. There's no reason. She knew that he was looking at her. Kirby realized what she was doing. She shows up with 2 glasses and a bottle of wine and is like, let's have a drink.
I think they were like
it.
240s of whiskey.
2 bottles of alcohol.
That's
She's ready
looking
to
for
go.
trouble.
She has both hands full, to the point where she goes in his room and she knows what's going to happen and she's expecting it. Now, hopefully not something more happens, and something that is not even more dramatic. And I also think that the family that helped out the soccer player is actually going to be Cristal's family. I think it's going to be something with Cristal's
I
family.
was thinking that
and
too.
Culhane is going to be able to tie them to worrying him and abusing him and being aggressive towards him, and that's going to be something that comes out.
And Dominique will be involved.
I don't know if Dominique's going to be involved.
We don't know.
I don't think so. I think Dominique has a different. Dominique has a different path, but that's just my opinion. What was your opinion on the musical?
I'm not a huge. I know everyone's a big fan of musicals. I'm not a huge fan of musicals.
Bree in the booth is having a heart attack as we speak.
Oh, I'm sorry, Bree.
Yeah, I mean, it's cool. No, actually, I would disagree with you, Maddie. I think most people I meet are not fans of musicals, and it's the opposite, right?
But Bree's a fan.
Let
me tell you the songs that they played, Bree.
I'm not against it. I don't remember from the original show it being a musical.
There were no musicals. This is just a plot device. This is a script and literary device.
In the end, it all made sense.
The songs that they used, this is during Fallon's, of course. She's a victim of the gas poisoning and is hallucinating. Yeah. The songs that she hears, Tears for Fears, Everybody Wants to Rule the World. Blake and Adam sing that. Adam on the piano, Blake on the keys of the music. Phil Collins, Against All Odds. Then Phil Collins, You Can't Hurry Love, which is actually the Supremes, and I'm glad that they brought that up because a lot of people think it's Phil Collins' song, but it's not. It was the Supremes song. And Talking Heads, Burning Down the House, which was an interesting choice as the house we thought was going to burn down, but it didn't. What happened was an explosion, and of course, it affected Adam, who got the brunt of that explosion on his own.
Yes.
So it was interesting to watch the hallucinations. It was fun. The songs were fun, the way they did it. And here's my thing. Usually I'm not a fan of musicals when they happen for no reason, especially when I think that they're simply there to elongate the script. I don't want to do the work, so I just throw in a musical and let it go. But in this one, not only did it make sense, it was fun, and all the songs were fun songs too.
It honestly made sense, especially like at the end where it's like, You Can't Hurry Love, and then Burning Down the House. But when they're singing that, I thought the house was going to burn down. So I was like, oh no, here we go. And from initially when Blake was humming Tears for Fears in the opening scene or whatever, I was like, okay, maybe there'll be some like reference to that throughout the episode. So they did it well. I was confused. I was like, is this turning into a musical? They're all good singers, though. I liked it.
On CW. I think the songs were pre-recorded and then placed in.
It sounded a little bit dubbed and
a very appropriate song for the Carringtons to sing. Everybody Wants to Rule the World, because we see that as being their epithet and their basically their principle that they go on is they want to rule the world. Now, Jeff being back is one of the final plot devices that we see in this episode. What are your thoughts on Jeff Colby returning?
I think it's good, but I think obviously I'm not on Dominique's side, but I get where she's coming from, where if Jeff was actually there the whole time in Atlanta, then him and Blake something would have happened really, really, really bad. So it's good he went away, but stuff's gonna hit the fan. I would have said but I can't. Drama's going to hit the fan, and him and Blake, I feel like in the next few episodes are really going to, try and sabotage each other. I don't know. I have a bad feeling about him being back. He's not my favorite character either. So.
Well, with Jeff, I think that I disagree that Dominique has any interest in Jeff's safety, or she's been gone for so long, and Jeff was able to Jeff was able to handle himself for so long. He doesn't need the protective nature of Dominique or the fake one that she presents. Mm-hmm. What he really just needs is a person who's on his side, which Monica is, and Dominique is not. Jeff being back does add a different dynamic to the danger that the Carrington family is in. I do wonder why no one has asked, why is Jeff back? At this point, I feel that enough people have seen or noticed that the police should say, hey, we thought you were murdered. Turns out that you're not. There needs to be a conversation.
Well, maybe that'll happen next episode.
And something we need to address. This has been 2 episodes he's been back. We saw that reveal in last week's episode, and then this week he was just back. And so I'm waiting to see how that plays out. It's an interesting dynamic that Jeff has. I still don't know the anger that Jeff has towards the Carringtons. I'm sorry that your family was slighted and as such. However, it's all worked out for you, and you have turned out great in the end. Let it go, Jeff. You have everything, and now you even have your mother back.
Yeah.
Let it go. Atone or miss, and stop being the something desperate, because that's who I feel is the most. Let's talk about our special segment, Wow. The outfit that wowed you the most in this episode. Dynasty is known for its wow moments and its wow outfits. What was the design, fashion, look that you just said wow?
I loved Fallon's outfit when she was going to bring the book for Liam.
The manuscript.
Sorry. And she was wearing that like flower pantsuit, and obviously she dropped the manuscript or whatever, but she looked amazing, and it matched the whole garden and everything with that. I always think her outfits are the best. And then I loved Sam's outfit when he went to go visit Liam's place. And
the polo. He was wearing a polo, and he had the flowers, and he had the Bluetooth.
Yeah, and how did they get that in time? I was like, they are so on the ball with all these, these sneaking in and plans and stuff. Like, how could they get that so quickly?
Well, it makes it very easy when you have billions of dollars to do these things. I think that the best outfit on the entire episode was Cristal's outfit when she was wearing that ruffled dress when she just had it. It was so casual,
it was so
calm,
good.
cool, and collected like she has become. And yet it was still sexy, sleek, and slender. So it was so great to see that outfit on her. The color, that pastel matched her skin tone so well. I'm liking a lot what they're doing with this new Cristal. So good for them. Let's get into some news and gossip, shall we?
Yeah.
TV News.
So when it comes to news and gossip, we've always been wondering, what is Dynasty doing with all these changes? And finally, we get this article from Deadline. The CW president and series EP address Dynasty exits, basically saying there have been a slew of changes on Dynasty over its first 2 seasons. Once one of the lead roles, Cristal, was recast twice, and now we see a third time. And we also see all these different exits, Alexis and Nicholas Sheridan, and they rest assured we felt that something was going on behind the scenes that we weren't aware about. However, and on top of that, by the way, the showrunner changed. So we were thinking, whoa, there's got to be problems and troubles in paradise. However, as for the recastings, they are basically saying that it's nothing personal. It all had to do with their own personal issues and them leaving, and some of the recasting had to do simply because of unrelated issues. Some made for creative decisions, some were made for personal reasons and just a confluence of things that happened in a succession, but it's not part of a larger pattern. And on the showrunner front, Sally ran the show for 2 seasons on a 22-episode model. It was always her plan to pass the baton after a couple of seasons. Josh is an excellent and experienced showrunner, and that has been proven true, as season 3 has given us nothing but goodies all the way through. So rest assured, Dynasty heads, this might not be the last change, but the change is always for good. Let's jump into some predictions, shall we?
Your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
Maddie Pocks, what are your predictions for next week's episode?
First of all, I'm happy to hear that, because I was wondering who would be switched out of characters again. Like, obviously Cristal has and whatnot, so I was a little worried that everyone would keep switching and what was happening behind the scenes, but that's really good to hear. Everything's going smoothly. My predictions, I think Liam's going to be out of the picture for a while.
Sure.
He's definitely going to come back, though. I think, knowing Fallon, I think she'll probably try and make him like her again in some sort of way.
Of course, she can't give up.
Yeah, and Kirby with Cody. I think sparks are going to fly. Maybe something hits the fan. Anders is going to walk in on something in the hotel or whatnot. Dominique, I want to know what's happening with Vanessa in that phone call, so maybe we'll get to see that next week. Blake, I'm not too sure. What do you think is going to happen with Blake?
Well, I think that we're going to see this bigger power struggle with Cristal and Adam. I don't think it's over. I think Adam comes out of this afflicted but unscathed, meaning his eyesight is gone. It's temporary. I do still think that the Steven storyline is looming because Adam says I'm his one and only son, the true heir. But Steven does exist, and even though that Steven is not Blake's son, he is in everything but blood. And I will say this is that Dominique's agenda will blow up in her face, a la Adam, because she takes credit for the explosion, and we know that it's not, but it does gain Jeff's sense of respect, loyalty, and his fear in what Dominique is able to do. On the Culhane front, I think Culhane and Kirby will have some huge conflict over Kirby's relation with the soccer player that's on the Atlantics. I think that family comes back, and it's also part of Cristal's, and that's a deeper thing. Culhane is not out of the water with the FBI, and we act like this investigation doesn't go on, but Blake is still under indictment for murder. Let's see how that murder plays out. I don't know. I guess we'll find out. But until then, where can people find you if you want to be found, Maddie Pocks?
I'm on Instagram at Maddie Pocks. Thank you guys so much for watching.
That's
right. So much fun. I can't wait to see the next episode.
And of course, you can find me at I Am Tehran all across the board at IAMTEHRAN. And of course, you can see me hosting and paneling on a slew of other AfterBuzz TV shows because all of your favorite TV shows are my favorite TV shows too. Until next time, we will be talking more Dynasty. I'm sure it's gonna hit the fan. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Kevin Undergaro and me, Maria Menounos, would like to thank you for tuning in to AfterBuzz TV. Remember, we're not just the first, we're the biggest in the world, and we're the only destination for all your favorite TV shows. Whatever you crave, we've got it. So go to AfterBuzzTV.com and check out our lineup. Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.